Hey everybody, my name's Magellan, and you are watching Pop Modern Plays, a series of gameplay videos put out by the writers over at the Pop Modern blog, which can be found at pmodern.wordpress.com. This particular series is called Super Crate Talks, and it's going to be my main contribution to our YouTube oeuvre, so to speak. I'm not much of a gamer, at least not compared to Alan and Jim, the other writers over at the blog. But I do enjoy unwinding with the occasional game, and my favorite game for that has to be Super Crate Box, which is the game you're watching right now. If you want to play it yourself, you can find it easily online. Just Google it. It's free. It's also on Steam. And I feel like I've been playing this game my entire life, but I've only had it for the past 3 years, something like that, 3 or 4. I've logged too much time, days of time in this game, because it gets under your skin. You know, you start playing and then you keep playing and you get into this weird hypnotic almost trance-like groove. So I thought, well, if I'm already going to be devoting time to doing this, maybe I could turn it into content somehow. So the way that this series is going to work is whenever it strikes my fancy, I'm going to open up Super Crate Box, I'm going to record myself, and you'll notice I've muted the game sounds because they're a little loud and I tend to mumble, and I don't want my glorious, well-chosen words to be lost in the din. But anyway, I will be periodically opening Super Crate Box and recording myself talking and just sort of thinking off the cuff as I play. And hopefully it'll turn into something interesting. It may end up being a failed experiment. We'll see. But I'm basically just going to talk about whatever strikes my fancy, whatever's at the top of my head, and I'm going to keep talking until I die, and then I'm going to stop talking, and that's going to be the end of the video. So you'll see that there are 3 levels in Super Crate Box. This one is the first one. I don't know if they have names or if they just have colors associated with them. This is the red stage, and this is the easiest difficulty. There are 3 difficulties. There's normal, SFMT, I think, which is basically just twice as many enemies, and then there's ambush, which is like SFMT, but the enemies don't just come out of the top, they spawn randomly throughout the map. Those other 2 modes are much too stressful for my taste, so I usually stick with normal because I like to use this game as a relaxation tool. And you'll have to forgive my verbal crutches as I drift in and out of focus, because this game really is going to turn my brain off, and I have to try to fight against that a little bit. And I've lost my train of thought. Oh, I was going to explain how the game actually works. So you're this dude running around. I've set it to the crocodile, but there's other. You can be like a robot or just a regular guy or a dude with a space helmet. They don't do anything different, but it's your choice. I like the crocodile guy for whatever reason. So you're this guy and you run around. You got to pick up these crates or boxes. I guess it's ambiguous given the title of the game. And each box will give you a point, which you can see at the top of the screen. There's a counter there, and it will also switch your weapon. So you have to be able to adapt on the fly, be able to fall into the strategy of a given weapon fairly quickly. And really, if you know what you're doing, as long as you control the board, there's no reason that you should lose. But of course, things happen. You get distracted, you get overwhelmed, and then that's the end of it. So I'm doing fairly well right now, which is good, because you'll never hear this, but there were a couple aborted attempts at this where I died after like 6 points or something like that, and that's much too embarrassing to put up as the first video. I won't be nearly as stingy in the future, but I need to assert my Super Crate Box dominance out of the gate here. Oh, and if the enemies get to that fire at the bottom, then they will pop back out the top, red and angry. So we don't want that to happen. And if they touch you at all, you die immediately. What else can kill you? The fire can kill you, so don't step on that. And then the gun that I just had is called the disc gun, and you saw it bounces its shots off of walls, which is strategically very interesting and useful, but if you hit yourself, then you die, and that's really the most embarrassing way to go, I'd say. So let's see, this will just be my random musings. So I'm trying to cook up a musing for you right now, an amusing musing. And I'm going to be making a lot of puns, because that's my default setting, and right now in this game I'm nothing if not default. Sorry if my voice is, I don't know what my voice will sound like, but I'm talking in a semi-hushed tone, and the mic is pretty close to my mouth, so who knows, maybe it's melodious, maybe it's creepy. That's up for the world to decide. What can I talk about? Oh, we'll start with this, I guess. The other night, I'm doing this on a Monday, not super late, but pretty late. The other night on Saturday, I watched The Room for the first time. Tommy Wiseau's The Room. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but that movie is a real trip, I'll tell you what. From what I understand, it's been called the Citizen Kane of bad movies, and I think that is an accolade that is well deserved, to say the least. It's just, movies like that are so baffling to me, you know, that you can make a cultural product that is that poor. And I don't want to really rag on the guy, because that's not fun to just, you know, scold people for doing bad work, but it defies logic that you can look at that movie and the way that it's paced and the way that it's egregiously overdubbed. There's no way that you can look at that and say, hey, you know what, at least we made a movie. Although I'm sure that's probably what he did. I really, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to give away all the jokes, because that's really the only point in watching it. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it now. And if you have, then won't you join me as I quote some of my favorite bits. Everybody loves that one line where he's like, "You're tearing me apart, Lisa." And that's the big sort of, I can't think of another famous movie line. That's the make him an offer he can't refuse of The Room, I guess. But the moment that keeps sticking in my head is this part where he gets home, and first of all, which room is the title talking about? Is it the bedroom, or is it the sort of antechamber downstairs? That is a question for much literary and philosophical debate. But anyway, he gets home from work, and the main character, Johnny, and he's complaining about not having gotten a promotion or a bonus or whatever that he felt he deserved. And his fiancée is there, who we know from every scene she's in that she's not in love with him anymore at all. She has no trouble reminding every character of that all the time and not saying anything else whatsoever. She's there, and he's upset, and she says something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing this whole interaction, but something along the lines of, "Would you like me to order a pizza?" And then he says, "Oh, whatever, I don't care about it." And then she says, "I already ordered a pizza." And he says, "Oh, you think about everything." And I don't know why that interaction charms me so much, but it's indicative of the whole film, really, that these characters, they just sort of speak to each other in a way that's not what you would expect. But if you haven't seen The Room, go watch it, because it really is an experience. And make sure you watch it with a group of people. I was not inebriated at the time of viewing, but that, why not? Maybe that would help, because there was a moment, the people I was watching it with, we got about an hour in, and there's no way of knowing where you are in that movie because the pacing is just so off. We had gotten an hour in, and we're like, oh, we must be close to done, and we checked the timestamp, and nope, you still have 40 minutes left, and we all let out this excruciated cry of just, ugh, why do we have to keep sitting through this? But then next scene, Johnny says something hilarious, and you can't help but keep watching. It's a destructive cycle. So that was The Room. What else have I experienced recently? This run is going on a bit longer than I thought it would, which is good on the one hand, but it's bad on the other hand, because I feel like I may be losing people if I'm rambling too much. I don't know. You can probably just leave this video on and open something in another window. Oh, sorry if I just burped. That's very unprofessional. But you know what? We're going for it. This is all off the cuff, not off the cup. Keep it on the cup, but off the cuff. I want a bumper sticker that says that, just so that people can scratch their heads and not understand what it means, because it doesn't mean anything. So yeah, this is me rambling, trying to fill air. I know it must be fascinating. I'll talk a bit more about Pop Modern Plays. So if you're on this YouTube channel, then you will have noticed that my cohort, Alan, posts his Spelunky daily challenges. So you should go ahead and check those out. Those are a lot of fun. He just runs through the daily challenge in Spelunky, which is this, if you don't know what it is, it's a roguelike adventure game, so it's procedurally generated, platformer type thing. Very lethal. And he goes through, and his runs will take usually about 10 minutes or so. Although he has openly admitted that he's not, amazing at the game, whereas I attest that I am a Super Crate Box master. But you can go check out what he's doing. As for other stuff that we're going to be doing, I really want to at some point do a playthrough of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, just because that is definitely my favorite video game of all time. I'm a big Star Wars geek, I suppose. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of things, but I really do love the universe. And BioWare just makes great games on the reg, So I wanted an excuse to play through that, but I won't have time for it for a while. There's a long weekend coming up next week, so maybe I'll log a couple hours of Knights of the Old Republic, and I'll split it up into 15-minute chunks or whatever. No promises, but that's something that could be on the horizon. And then we've also been kicking around the idea of the three of us, the three writers over at Pop Modern, doing a multiplayer game of some kind. We've been getting into Monaco recently, which is a lot of fun. It's sort of a top-down heist movie game, I guess. You play a group of thieves and they rob various places. It's a lot of fun. and it gets tense. So I feel like that would make for some good viewing. What else? I'm not sure what else we could play. We could probably play Worms. Worms is fun because that lends itself to a lot of shouting. I just died, which is good because I was running out of material. So that's it for this first edition of Super Crate Talks. You can find all of us on our site in the description below, and thank you for watching.